Let's talk about the coronavirus, COVID-19. Came from Wuhan in China, from what we call wet markets. Wet markets sell wild animals. So that's where the diseases really come from. China did these wet markets because they found it a lot cheaper than having farmed animals in terms of livestock, and it was a lot cheaper. So obviously a lot of people in Wuhan started eating these animals, and these animals started infecting them, and to the point where it's become a pan-epidemic, and the world is in a lot of trouble. Many countries, the likes of America, Canada, Australia, the UK, many countries in Europe, you've got obviously Spain, Italy, Germany, they're all having to spend vast amounts of money to shore up their economy and pay people a living wage while they self-isolate. And the idea is everyone self-isolates, so very few people get infected. But the problem is a lot of people going about their business without a care in the world and a care regarding what they're doing or who they're infecting in their daily lives. So in the UK, in a northern town, I work in the public transport industry, and I'm seeing a lot of people just with no care about the situation we're in, the trouble and the problems that the doctors and nurses are experiencing. I will put a video at the end of this segment regarding a UK doctor telling you about what's going on and regarding his experiences of what's happening. I highly recommend, after I've had my say here, you please listen to it, because put bluntly, he's saying people are not isolating themselves, and if they don't, this country's going to hell. And I think he's right. You know, even churches, synagogues, all religious centres are being closed. All pubs, bars, restaurants, gyms, sports centres have been closed. The only thing that seems to be left is hairdressers, toy shops, card shops, for birthdays and what have you, and obviously supermarkets, and they're the only things that seem to be left. What a few bars are doing at the moment, because they've been closed, they've been doing take-out selling of alcohol. So you can go along to them at a certain time with a jug and they'll fill it up with some beer, and you can take it away with you. But that's as much as they're allowed to do. The truth is, of McDonald's and KFC, you can only do takeaway. That's what Boris Johnson has said, he'll allow takeaways, but you cannot go into any restaurant and sit down and obviously eat your meal with company as such. And obviously the UK government, as well as other governments such as Canada, America, have made a massive financial package to businesses, so they will pay their staffs up to 80%. There's more movement on that to happen. The main concern is people who are self-employed. So obviously there may be further packages to be released in the coming days to support those self-employed people, which is estimated to be around 5 million people. So at the moment there's a lot of problems with our society, but what I want to say in this video is I want to talk about people who are not self-isolating, especially the elderly people. I am seeing you around town, I am seeing you on public transport, I am seeing you congregate in groups, even on public transport, rather than spreading yourself as much as you can. If a bus is empty and there's 5 of you, please don't sit together, sit apart at least. And it's quite obvious to me that a lot of people are not taking this seriously. A lot of panic buying is going off in supermarkets as well, where you're stripping the supermarkets out of tinned food. That, to be honest with you, is quite selfish, because there are nurses, there are doctors, there are other transport workers, and caregivers, care assistants that need access to their daily food and shopping. So please don't deprive those important people from being able to do their weekly shop. And to those people that are refusing to take government advice, those of you who seem to think, I lived through a war and I don't really care. Well, you need to think about the people that would have to look after you got infected in hospital. The nurses, the doctors, the various other employees within a hospital, as well as possibly people that may transport you. You've got your ambulance services, the police, the fire brigade, they may be involved. And you possibly could infect them as well. And why has Italy spiralled out of control? Because ultimately this is what's happened. The nurses, the doctors have dealt with the the OAPs, the general populace regarding the coronavirus, and they themselves have got infected. They have no protective gear at the time because it was still early and we didn't know much about this disease, and they basically infected other people, and that's how it's happened. So it spiraled out of control in Italy because of this, and it's a lot of lessons we can learn, which is that you need PPE protection for all your practitioners within the hospitals, within the surgeries, even your ambulance crews. But this video is aimed directly at those of you who seem to think that you can carry on as normal. I'm sorry, you can't. And sooner or later, if you don't do what Boris Johnson is requesting, he's asked you once, he's asked you again to remind you, while there are some people that are self-isolating, there are many people that are not. So obviously he took the decision to close all bars and clubs, and hoping this would change things. Well, I can tell you, as of today, 21st of March 2020, I could clearly see that people are not heeding those words. And ultimately it looks like a lockdown and possibly martial law will have to be initiated, possibly using military troops to force the general public to literally do what's right for them, which is self-isolate. Stay home for 2 weeks and just, relax and get over the infection. It is extremely infectious, and what you don't want to do is go into town as you would normally, be close to other people, and infect other people. So this video is about those people who are so stupid they don't understand the seriousness of what's going on. If you do not self-isolate yourself and you're an elderly person, you are putting yourself at risk and others at risk. And someone needs to tell you, stop being so stupid and behave like your age. Have some decency, have some sense that this is a serious pan-epidemic that will kill many people. You may infect people you love and they may die as a consequence. Not all people that die from this virus, right, are old. Some are young. I recently saw a video where someone was 23 years old. She had various tubes running through her arms that were directly sewn into her arteries. She had to have oxygen to breathe. And literally she looked like she was half dead, like a zombie. So don't think you're only, it's only you that will ultimately pay the price. Other people could possibly pay the price for your arrogance. Yeah, you may live through a world war and think you've done it all and you don't need to listen to anyone else. But have some common sense. You know, there are many people who are providing a public service who help you get around, who help you in regards to your medical conditions, regarding your health, your checkups, which you pretty much get free of charge through the government because of the taxes you may have paid in your life through the past. But that doesn't negate the fact you have a responsibility to make sure you do not get infected by other people and you don't pass that infection to other people as well. So in this video I just wanted to say to those OAPs that are travelling to town on public transport, those of you that are going to town for whatever reasons, I don't know why, because virtually the only shops you'll be able to go to soon will be supermarkets and food outlets, but obviously cafes have been shut down apart from takeouts, and restaurants have been closed, gyms have been closed, sports centres have been closed, cinemas have been closed. You know, there's many things you can do online. You can watch films, you can watch TV, there's the radio, you can download movies, you can go on Amazon Prime, you can do Netflix, you can do all sorts of things at home. You don't have to go into town. Maybe it's old school and that's something you've used to, but please think about yourselves. Think about your life. Think about other people as well. Do you really want to be responsible for other people dying? My personal opinion is, ultimately, if you're not prepared to listen to what the government has to tell you, and you're not prepared to stay home and self-isolate, if you're not prepared to do the right thing, then, you know, if you do contract the disease, I don't think anyone in the NHS should treat you, because you have decided to go against advice, and you don't deserve to be given any medication. You don't deserve to be on a ventilator machine because you haven't listened. So if you do happen to watch this video, please just do what you're told and stay at home, self-isolate. Just give the NHS time to get over this. Just give people a couple of months just to get the infectious part of this disease gone. Because ultimately no one wants to get infected and get ill or even die. So please take note of what I'm saying here. Now listen to the video from a UK doctor who has a lot to say about what's going on, and this directly relates to what I'm saying. People, just don't carry on as normal. This is not a normal situation. Just stay at home, be safe, let time go by so the infectious period of 2 weeks has gone, and then hopefully there'll be no one in your family that will be infected, and hopefully we can get through this, because this is an unknown situation. But I did want to touch on one thing. It has been suggested that a lawsuit against China should go ahead. The reason countries do business with China is because it's cheap, because the labour is cheap, because they get cheap products at really good prices. And these companies, such as the likes of Apple, Samsung and others, will go to China to get things made really cheaply and then sell it for a lot of money in the more you know, richer countries such as America, Canada, UK, Europe. The problem is that's happening here is China has then cost the world, let's face it, the world, an estimated $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Just think about that. So do you think saving a few billion on some products, on labour in China, is worth the cost of $5 trillion? I don't think so. And to be honest with you, if the arrogance of China is... We'll send a bit of help to these countries like they have been doing to Italy. A few face masks, and you think that's going to rectify or apologise for what they've done, you've got another thing coming. And I think if this continues, you could expect the majority of the countries out there to consider China as an enemy. China doesn't want that. China doesn't need that. But that's what could happen. Anyway, like I said, listen to the video that I'm going to put on after this bit regarding what a UK doctor who has been treating this COVID-19 named coronavirus, sorry. Just listen to what he has to say because you'll be shocked. Thank you for watching.
I'm an intensive care consultant. I'm on call at the moment. I can't tell you where I am. But we are very busy and we're filling up. And I've just taken a little break and I thought I'd listen. I've been listening throughout the day and meaning to phone because it is beyond me why people don't see what they are creating by just continuing to go out. We're treating the people who got infected 2 weeks ago, and we're getting full. So people getting infected now, who will be treated in 2 weeks' time, I don't know what's going to happen. I was driving in today, I can't remember whose show it was. Anyway, I thought I'd get in pretty quickly because there'd be nobody on the streets, but it took me longer to get to work than normal. And I was just amazed at the number of people I saw on the roads, on the streets, walking, going in and out of shops, which is fair enough. They've got to buy food. And then I think Sheila Fogarty said that she had heard that on her tweets that people who are not working and are working from home are going into the bars. And that's what happened in Italy. And the only way this virus stops is if we stop touching each other. If we got to keep 2 meters away from each other, we're going to wash our hands and just not touch anybody. And it may not be you that gets it, but for every one person that gets it off you, by the time 10 people have got it and it's passed through 10 lots of infection, we're up to tens of thousands of people who will have this virus, of which 10% will come into hospital, of which 4% will come into ICUs. You don't need to be a mathematician.
Up, yeah,
completely.
You're already filling up.
Full. We're expanding. This is serious. I don't know. Yeah. I don't quite get, why a government has to tell you, don't go to a pub. If you go to a pub, somebody who gets the infection that you may have, it may not be the person you touch, but within 10 people, there'll be people who will be dead. That's basically the way this thing works. And I think anyone who goes for a Mother's Day thing to somebody's pub, it's beyond immoral. This will not stop unless we stop going out and infecting other people.
You sound, Jack, not just frustrated, but quite
furious.
upset. Yeah.
Well, I've been now doing this for, I don't know, 3 weeks we've been doing this. It's getting worse. There are doctors going down. There are nurses going down. Healthcare workers will die. There's been people in Italy, many healthcare workers who have died. And, I've cried. My colleagues have cried. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've never seen anything anywhere near this. Swine flu was a ripple compared to this. And it's catastrophic. And I just feel I'm on a sort of parallel planet to the rest of this country. I just don't. I come to work and I'm in a different universe to to what's going on outside the window. And I can't understand why people don't get it. This isn't a joke. There will be no pubs because there'll be nobody going into them. You know, this has got to stop. And I'm very upset, yeah. And I'll be a different person at the end of it. And so will a lot of my colleagues. And, yeah, I don't know what will happen, but, you know.
Well, look, Jack, I just
feel extremely strongly that, you know, when I'm hearing people saying, oh, I'm just going to go to the pub, it's Mother's Day, well, I don't care. Well, you know, I'm afraid that is killing people. It's going to kill people. And not just kill people, people who may survive it, you know, could be crippled, you know, be respiratory crippled for the rest of their lives. You know, do you not necessarily just get better? You know, you may not die, but you don't necessarily get back to what you were. And we will be overwhelmed, even if everybody just goes into their rooms now and doesn't go out again from what's happened in the last 2 weeks, because this sort of respiratory stuff comes 10 days after the infection that you get. So we're going to be looking at people
when you hear the Prime Minister talking about we can get this down and we can start to turn the tide on this in 12 weeks. Yeah. From your medical expertise, from everything that you have seen and the complete juxtaposition between what you're seeing at work and what you're seeing when you come into work, what do you make of that 12-week assessment?
Yeah, we can. You just got to stay in your... I'm sorry, almost swore. You know, I saw something on CNN, and the guy said, you know, we're a generation of people who have strived to make our lives so that we can basically function from a sofa. You can sit and watch Netflix, sit and watch Sky, order everything on Amazon, order anything on Ocado. You don't need to go out. You know, when we were at war, in the war, not this war that we're in now, people were lying about their ages and lying about their health so that they could go into battle and fight and die for our country. All we're asking, all people are asking, is for you to go and sit on your sofa. And I know that it's going to cause a lot of problems. You know I'm going to be getting paid and I can pay my mortgage, and I'm very lucky if I survive, you know. But, which I may not do, you know, I'm not, you know, we don't know, right? But that's what people are being asked to do. It's not, that's it. The virus doesn't crawl under your door. The only way you'll get it is if you go to a pub or a club or a restaurant or go on the tube and you get it off somebody. If you sit in your house, you won't get it, right? And nobody else will get it. And the virus can only live if it goes from one person to another person. If that doesn't happen, the virus is gone. It's finished. And yeah, we may have to wait for a vaccination and we may have to have a bit of inconvenience for a while. And I know that a lot of people are going to be, you know, financially crippled, and that's not my remit, and I'm not in the government and I can't deal with all of that. But, you know, if we don't do it, you know, we've had it. There's no
I wonder,
choice.
Jack, whether then your assessment of how serious this is means that forget the pubs and the clubs and the restaurants and closing them down. You need an Italian-style, Chinese-style, complete total lockdown. People told to stay in their homes. Otherwise, the chances of spreading this are greatly increased. Do you think that's needed?
You know, I mean, you just need to... I don't know why we think we're sort of not Italy and not China, and the virus is somehow different in the UK or in America. It's going to be different. And I understand we're a liberal democracy and we're not China, and I get that. And I don't know what will happen in China when they start to release people. You know, there's still lots of people who can get it. They're not immune. You know, so I don't know. I'm not an immunologist and I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't, you know, but I do know that if we carry on just passing this virus to each other, we're going to be overwhelmed. However many beds, however many ventilators we have, however many IT nurses we have.